Good evening, Dion or Virginia. Good evening, and welcome to Conversations with Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Alethea Brown, and I'm joined today with my co-host and start with you, Jeff.
What's up, everybody? It's Jeff White with Yes We Did LLC. Happy to be here with my two partners in crime. We're missing the other two tonight, but you know that they're with us in spirit.
Always, Dion.
What's up, everybody? Good to see y'all. Glad you joined with us tonight. Again, like Jeff said, with our fam tonight. Let's get it.
Well, tonight we want to talk about some things that have been headlined and that falls under Jeff's expertise. We always rely on that. So tonight we're going to say, let's talk about inflation. And so first thing we'll start with is why inflation matters to small businesses. So Dion, I'm going to let you say yours first, and then I will let Jeff start too.
Well, thank you. Yes, because I have a lot less to say than Jeff, and Jeff's stuff is going to be as informative and revelatory. It's going to be like, it's really revealing and shares things. You know, there's some of the very practical, like with small business. Small business is already in a big competition. And so to not just sell, but be noticed, period, to sell and buy and exchange and stuff like that. So you definitely work with that when prices go up or economy squeezes a certain way. Of course, it will affect small things. Coming from the mental health thought of things, what small businesses have to process in moments like what we've experienced with inflation. Listen, y'all, relative to a public health issue, not just your annual 3% increase, et cetera, not just your, it's going up next year, not just the guinea pigging, if you will, that they do with us with things like gas prices, right? And stuff like that. If they pay this much, they'll always be able to go back to it, And here in North Carolina, they used to have the breakdown. I'm sure they took it off because people could see it. They would have the breakdown, fam and Jeff. They would have the breakdown of, this is how much the gas costs, but this is how much the state tax is, and the store tax is, and this tax, right? And the gas was this much out of that $3.99 a gallon you're paying. You know what I mean? But they figure out how you're gonna pay it. That's inflation. That's another practical method of inflation, and even a spontaneous. When it's ran through a public health issue, when inflation is, we gotta boost stuff. We gotta make it more expensive. We gotta squeeze it some more. We have to require more of you monetarily in whatever manner that means. Because of public health, the psyche and the mind immediately would definitely go into like self-preservation mode. And that's why the masses, they simply conform, period. It's hard to see the advantages that you could benefit from right now. It's the benefits of even the PPP loans and things of that nature, organizing to get those so you can keep yourself afloat and keep your blood moving in your small company or your small business and things of that nature. These are some of the effects. I'm sorry, I said infects. It might be right too. Might have been Freudian right there, Jeff. These are some of the effects of what inflation does to small business. And I'm being very specific, like in this moment that we're experiencing. People have launched business. Julie, our friend and panel member, launched a business in the midst of this and things of that nature, and it has lived and it has grown and it has survived because of the psyche and the mind and how things. Julie got a brick and mortar in the middle of a pandemic and all that, and it is done well, and it's because Julie's mind was set prior to that, recognizing that whatever comes and the inflation and the squeeze, and that led to the preparation because this pandemic, it came upon us and it came upon us heavy, and it was fast and it was furious, and now it don't want to go nowhere. So we're still working we're not working around it anymore. We're working with it, And so that's kind of some of the things I want to say. I just want to really hear Jeff. I'm done.
Yeah, I was thinking you said talked about Julie, so I definitely was hoping she was gonna be able to make it tonight, because I definitely would like to have her feedback to see if she's had any impact, and also from Chanel, if she gets a chance to join later, for her expertise into if inflation is impacting the travel industry. So those were a couple of my questions, but Jeff, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you now, because I know you're going to have a lot more to say, and I would definitely like to hear your take on the fact that, because I saw this on one of your posts before, that a lot of the problems of the prices that we have going up is because nothing is being made here.
Oh, thank you. Okay. It's so many different aspects of this inflation debacle that we got to look at. I'm gonna talk about that because that really irks me to no end right there, what you just said, Alethea. But the inflation, one reason that we have so much inflation is because they printed so much money. See, we all want the stimulus checks. I wanted it. I was happy to get them. Everyone's happy to get them. But see, what you don't realize is the effects of that stimulus check. When they print trillions and trillions of dollars, it dilutes the power of the dollar. It decreases the purchasing power of the dollar. It's like it gets diluted. Think of, you all wash clothes. Think about if you put just a little bit of bleach in a full wash machine full of water. It gets diluted. It's not as effective as if you just poured that bleach right on some clothes. But if it gets diluted, it's not as powerful. It's the same thing with the dollar. When they keep printing so much, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And then as a result, things get more and more expensive. So that's just one reason why we have so much prices going up with inflation. That's just one. Now, as far as the problem with we don't make things here, that is a major pet peeve of mine, and it is driving me crazy the more I think about it. We are almost at the point where we have 220 million people in this country, or more than that actually, and we will be fighting over toilet paper probably within a month or so because we don't make it here. Why can't we make these things here? Why aren't we producing these things here? Where are the entrepreneurs who know how to create these companies that can make the basic things that we need that are being made overseas? It's absolutely ridiculous that we're at the point now where we're afraid that we're going to run out of paper towels and toilet paper and bottled water and canned goods because we don't make them here. And this is one of the reasons why business and entrepreneurship is so important. This is why. Everyone can't just go work for a call center. Everyone can't just go work for McDonald's. We need to create things and produce things that benefit the entire community. And that's how the country grows. That's true entrepreneurship and how an entrepreneur can thrive in times like this. If you have the right business, you can thrive during inflationary times because, and I'm talking from an entrepreneurial perspective, because as prices rise, as costs rise, what do? You raise your costs right along with them. Because see, the average person just has one job, and that one job is supposed to pay all their bills. You got that 1 9 to 5, or you work part-time, because a lot of places don't even offer full-time work. So you got that one job, and that one job is supposed to pay your rent, your car note, your car insurance, your cell phone bill, your electric, your phone bill, you're going out, and your food. That one job. So when prices go up on every single thing like we're seeing right now, your money's going to get squeezed and you're stuck. So what do? You only have a couple of options. You can either try to get a raise, which probably won't happen. You can try to get a second job, and you can probably do that, but now you're going to be working your life away, and so you're just stuck, or that's it. That's your only choices. But if you are an entrepreneur who's in the right place at the right time in the right industry, you can increase your prices to go up right along with the cost of inflation, and your business can thrive. But see, we don't think along those lines. We're all thinking, I got to make more money. Why is prices going up? What can I do? Well, there's a lot of things we can do. And like you said, Aletha, one of the first things we can start doing is start creating these businesses to create these products. Why are we waiting? It is approximately 60 ships off the coast of California right now. And these ships are huge. And they are just stocked with supplies and different goods that we import from China and all these other places. And we are waiting like little 5-year-olds on these goods to be unpacked and shipped around the country so we can use them. Why don't we create businesses? That is something that we can do. We have over 200 million people in this country. You mean to tell me we can't create some companies that can create and produce these items ourselves and hire these truckers so they can just ship them out all over the country? It makes no sense to me that we are in this situation, and we have to get ourselves out of it. We have absolutely no choice but to help ourselves. Because what if China gets petty? What if they get petty and say, oh, we can't ship right now. There's another delay. We can't get this stuff out to you for 2 months. Or what if OPEC says, well, we having trouble over here since you left Afghanistan. We having trouble getting the gas over to you too. All these little things, because we are relying on all these other countries to supply us with basic essentials. And it is absolutely ridiculous, and we need to do something about it. But again, like I said before, our schools do not teach us anything about business and entrepreneurship. And that is an insult, because now you have millions of people who don't understand that the ABCs of starting a business, the mental aspect of starting a business, and how to take care of themselves when their paycheck is not enough. You can do more than just go get another job. You can create a job and you can thrive in this type of environment, but we don't think along those lines. So it's very frustrating for me.
Yeah, I remember the first of the pandemic, there were the companies that were making liquors. They pivoted their businesses to make hand sanitizer because we was running out of hand sanitizer.
Just use alcohol for the hand sanitizer, that's right.
So they were starting to make hand sanitizer. And it's interesting now because some of those other companies that was pivoting so fast for the hand sanitizer, turns out it wasn't really hand sanitizer. It's like they had a recall on them. So it's so much. When it comes, a lot of people don't really get the whole inflation thing. They see the gas prices kind of creeping up slowly but surely. Loaf of bread, and then it starts the meat, and and then when you go and you have all the canned foods and all these little different things, we know we have problems with the union. AFL-CIO has been having problems since the pandemic started. They lost a lot of the meat packers during the pandemic. The farmers, they've been struggling because they don't have the workforce that they used to get from across the borders. So they're struggling. Shortages in the veggies, the shortages in the quality of the veggies and the fruits, all these little different things start to make a difference. And we roll with stuff so easily that sometimes we don't pay attention until we don't have the money to get the other little stuff that we used to do. But when I walk out of a grocery store with 3 bags and I spend $94, somebody need to tell me something. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, what did I buy? What? This couldn't possibly be $90 worth of stuff. Like, Food Line, we need to talk. So there is a lot that's going on. Chanel is joining us right now, guys.
And here's something else that bothers me. Because I'm a big proponent of stocking up on supplies and everything. And what if you get 6 months worth of supplies? Hey, Chanel, what if you get 6 months worth of supplies, and after those 6 months run out, the stores aren't stocked? Or if they have a little bit and now it is 5 times more expensive, you're stuck. We need to learn how to create those goods ourselves. Like if you go to the islands, and I know Chanel can vouch for this, you go to the islands, those communities, they all have, right in their own communities, you got people who got the chickens and the goats, you got the farmers, you got everybody you need right there in your community. I don't know nobody who got chickens in the United States. I don't know nobody who got no goats. So we're all basically stuck because we don't know how to create and sustain our own, livelihoods if things get out of control.
Hey, Chanel, we're glad you was able to join us.
Nelly
Hey
Nell.
y'all, sorry I'm late, but I wanted to make sure I got on and said hello.
Nice to see you.
Glad you did. So we're talking, tonight's topics about inflation. And so the one thing that we kind of hit on a little bit before you came was whether or not if inflation is impacting the travel industry, since you're our travel expert.
So I would say certainly we've definitely seen an increase in prices for properties, for flights. I don't know if anybody's booked a flight lately, but prices have gone through the roof. I will say that they have been fluctuating. You might see a dip when, especially now, like this time of year, right before, like after summer and before the holiday kicks up in November, flights to Europe have been dirt cheap, seriously. But however, this summer, I mean, flights, even Jamaica, you're talking about almost $1,000. I had clients $1,000 to Jamaica. You can go to Australia, you can go to an Asian country for $1,000 for a round trip flight. And that wasn't first class or business class or anything.
Right.
But you are seeing that. You're seeing it because the travel industry, like many other industries, was drastically impacted last year. We're talking about borders closed, properties closed for months. So, businesses are trying to recoup that. But then also, I think, Jeff, you were mentioning there's the cost of doing business is more expensive now, especially if you're doing business internationally. It's costing more to ship. It's taking longer to ship and receive. So we're certainly seeing that increase across the board.
Thanks, Chanel. Dion and Jeff, you guys have any questions for Chanel?
I have 10 things to say.
Uh-oh.
Jeff has lit my fire because it's the real economics class that we should have received in school. I just made a few notes. I'm doing the Julie right now, Chanel. The reason importing affects inflation because it doesn't balance insourcing with outsourcing. If you send it all away and you have to bring it all back in, you don't work what's closer and what's necessary and familiar and all that. And it needs a better balance. Sometimes like what we're going through, like with the COVID and the effect it's had on small businesses and things of that nature. Some small businesses have experienced deflation, not inflation. They lost their wind, they lost their air, they had to shut down. And what it is Jeff White was hitting on it. What it is it's a call to reinventing yourself, possibly to accommodate the times. If I had a paper mill today, I would print toilet paper instead of notebook paper because of the need and the necessity, and even because of the business acumen, the benefit of cashing in on what's inflated right now, and stuff like that. This is the last thing too. Jeff always hits on this. Chanel, he was talking about they don't teach us this stuff in school. They don't, So what they don't teach us vicariously and sideways, you can say, what it's teaching us is consumerism versus entrepreneurship. And that's why we come, and that's why trying to jar the brain to recalculate and do some things for yourself and aim and shoot that way and give that a lot of energy and time, that helps to in moments like this, because when the pandemic hit my stuff that I do, I actually benefited a little more, and it's because I'm always pliable and I live adjustable. The business we can be whatever you need us to be. You need us to be a cleaning service? If you need a travel agent, I'm not, but I know one. Do you need a book written? I'm not an author, but I know two. You need some popcorn? I don't have nowhere to get you none, but I mean, and so I become the social services. It makes no difference, right? And it just living like that and knowing those times are coming and things like that, but they didn't teach it to us, And so trying to infuse the culture and the society and our community specifically is, that becomes our challenge, man. That was just very informative stuff.
It really was. It really was, because it's, one of the things too is like, so we talk about how it impacts the entrepreneurs, but you know, with consumers, we have to be mindful of what's coming our way, especially if you know you're budgeting or you're trying to create a budget out of a little bit of something that you got, you know. So all those little different things impact you, not only as a business person, but just a regular person in the community. How is this going to impact you? And then how do I get a feel for how long this is going to last? Like Jeff, how long does inflation usually last? I mean, I know we've experienced them before. You know, I'm still surprised it's been a year and a half since the pandemic. It just seemed like time flew right on by. You know, so you know, how long does it usually last? I remember in 2009, 2010, that was like killer. Like gas got up to like $6 a gallon then. I couldn't even take Tassie to school. I'm like, no, get no money to waste.
Well, this is why history is so important, and knowing the history of money and the history of the economy and how things work. Because for the last 10 years, the stock market has just been going straight up.
Mhm.
So you have a whole crop of people, millions of people, especially younger people, who only have seen an up market. They do not understand or even believe that the markets go down. Now, recessions can last 18 months to 2 years or so. Depressions like the Great Depression of the 1920s, that lasted over 10 years. We didn't get out of that until World War II. So this could last for a while, but if you don't understand how they work, you think everything's going to bounce back in a couple of weeks, but it may not work out that way. So by understanding history, you understand that this could happen or go on for a while. So you have to learn how to pivot, which is one of Chanel's favorite words, and I love that word. You got to learn how to pivot. And I alluded to it before. You have that one job and you expect that one job to pay all your bills. Now's the time you need to get that side hustle or some other alternate income stream or streams, because basically, you know about the middle class squeeze. This is how the middle class gets squeezed and the rich get richer, because of the middle class, they don't own anything. They got that one paycheck and it's spread thin. And so they eventually lose everything, or they don't have much of anything. They can't take advantage of opportunities that come their way. Wealthy people, not only do they have multiple streams of income, but they own things. They own businesses that allow them to raise their prices to go right along with inflation. They have these multiple streams of income. So if an opportunity comes up where they can buy stocks at a much cheaper price or buy some type of investment, they have the ability to do it. Meanwhile, the average person is at one check and they can't do anything but buy canned goods. They just trying to survive. But if you know how to pivot and play your cards right and understand how it works, you can survive and thrive during these times. But again, it's not taught. We're not taught how to be entrepreneurs and have the entrepreneurial spirit. We're not taught the importance of having multiple streams of income. And we've been talking about it since the pandemic. With the pandemic, you couldn't work, you stuck at home. What do? You got to find another way to make money. Now we got this inflation. What do? You got to find another way to make money. You have no choice now, but it's not taught and people don't understand how it works. But to answer your question, this is going to go on until probably well into 2022, because we are going to be short on supplies. Inflation is out of control because the purchase power of the dollar is steadily decreasing. And so people have to start preparing now, start stocking up on canned goods and bottled water and all these different things, because if they go up in price later on this year, you don't want to be out there struggling and fighting over stuff. You want to be able to sit back and be like, wow, I'm so glad I got it now, as you watch them on television fight. Now's the time to stock up. So hopefully you can ride out whatever's going to come our way.
Yeah, Black Friday may take on a whole nother meeting again this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, they even talking about no Christmas. They're talking about not much Christmas supplies or toys either, because it's all backlogged, all those ships out there. And no sales either. No Christmas sales, I mean to say.
Why my Adia voice said, baby, say go have no Christmas. Baby's gotta have a Christmas. You can't have the babies not having a Christmas. But you're right, Jeff. It's like all the little different things. Last year was interesting how we spent the holidays. This year, the freedom picked up a little bit. If people got to shut down again, there's not just going to be the shortage of it, just people going to start really being frightful, I think, of the isolation that a lot of people were subject to. I don't know why everybody think they can cut up like a seventh grader or something, but they appear to be doing it, and some are getting away with it. But we have to, as a community, sometimes work together and figure stuff out. Chanel, your take on anything that Jeff just said?
Yeah, I was thinking more so, Jeff, I completely agree, especially on the consumer side, but businesses as well. And I'm sure you touched on this, but especially those that are in a product-based business, like you said, supply and demand. But then also if your suppliers are international, like I said, it's costing more and it's taking longer, which then the consumer, therefore, kind of bears that brunt. I don't know. I love some chicken wings. We were somewhere recently and chicken wings are $2 a wing. Do y'all remember 25-cent Tuesdays or 50-cent wings or $2 for one? A wing. Yeah, we didn't get wings that day. But those are the type of things that we're seeing. So as businesses, especially those that are in product-based businesses, reevaluate your supply chain. I know it, especially with international, it's one that we typically gravitate towards because it's a lot cheaper. Unfortunately, but like we're seeing those prices go up. So it is about communicating with what's in your community, what's local, what's more domestic. So you're not having to pay the insane international freight charges. You're not having to wait weeks and weeks and sometimes months for your product. Look around your own community and see who is making those types of products to help you better serve your customers. Your customers aren't having to wait as long, and they're also not having to bear the brunt of the increase in prices. So just some ways to think about how to, I know inflation is, like you said, Jeff, it's not going anywhere. It is here, but those are maybe some things that you can reconsider to kind of help evaluate your business and your consumers.
Yeah, Tasi's been noticing it in the DoorDash, which he ordered a couple months ago. A DoorDash now is almost $10-15 more. So it's like every little teeny thing, they have to make a profit at some point, but this is what happens.
Another thing that I've noticed is with the workforce. People are having a difficult time to fill positions because, of course, we've had the increase in unemployment. People are making just as much, if not more, on unemployment than they were working at, their minimum wage or middle class jobs. So they've been having a hard time filling these positions. So what they've been doing is increasing their starting salary. You can make $20 an hour at McDonald's right now.
Can you hold up?
They're increasing their starting wages and then also offering incentive bonuses. So if you start off, they're going to give you $1,000 to $3,000 to start, but then what happens 6 weeks later when they decide to walk off the job? So somebody has to pay for that. So they're increasing their prices for consumers as well to be able to pay the higher wages and then also offer these bonuses. So
yeah,
that's another
doing that too, Chanel. Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in real quick because I'm like Jeff's little class student on LinkedIn. They raise the wages and then it inflates. You know what I mean? All of it meats and all that other wonderful stuff. And I want to say this to our audience. Chanel just gave so much of the game with the freight quote and the recalculating your supply chain. Listen, that's big business, Chanel. That's big information. That is not, if somebody listens to this, you should rewind this and you should listen to that. I'm serious, Chanel. That was moving almost. That was big what you said. That was nothing to just skip by.
What you don't know. And especially you getting started out, it's like, okay, I need all of these t-shirts for my t-shirt business. Where can I get t-shirts for $5 a pop? Overseas.
They have gone up.
Where can you find t-shirts locally, for that price? So it's hard because it is competitive. And I feel bad for t-shirt manufacturers in the state because they have to live and run a business as well. And it's challenging to compete with the international prices, but I said, it's just reevaluating that, and then being more open to forming those type of collaborations domestically so that we all can win, you know?
Yeah, Chanel, you brought up some points I brought up right before you came on. We got to start creating stuff on our own. We got 200 million people in this country, and we don't have enough people to form a company that makes toilet paper. We have to get all our stuff from China. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that we are sitting around like 6-year-olds waiting on Daddy China to give us stuff we need to survive. It's absolutely ridiculous. So like you said, we need to pivot and we need to start doing it ourselves. It's just that simple. We do not have a choice. And I think that it can help create more jobs, of course. And if we have the materials here, that can be a huge way for us to overcome everything that's going on, because it's only going to get worse if we keep waiting on others to supply our basic essentials. And we have to start making changes now, period. And like you said, we got to start working together. We have to start working together. Even on an individual level, if you know how to, can things, start a canning business. Start in your house and just start canning. Start getting the supplies and start making cans, and you can sell you some canned goods, because we all gonna need them. What if the power goes out? You're gonna need some canned goods so you can store your stuff. It's little things like that that we can do to help each other. If you have land in your backyard, get you some seeds, start planting a garden of a variety of stuff, and just put it together and get your garden cultivated and start selling, because we need these things. Because a lot of people may not realize this, but a lot of our fruits and vegetables come from overseas as well. How many people know that they will, like a tomato, they'll put that red dye in a tomato to keep it looking fresh, because it comes from overseas someplace and it has to keep that shelf life. There's little things like that you don't know. When we grew a tomato in our garden, it was the best tomato I've had in my life. I'm not kidding, compared to what I get in the store. So it's little things like that that we must start doing as a people, as a community. We got to start coming together. I don't care if you're vaxxed, if you're not vaxxed. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican at this point. I don't care what you are, what you do. We got to come together, because this is about life, literally life and death, because you got to eat. We need to come together as a community, stop all this fighting, because this is where we are right now.
I agree with that, Jeff. It's like you have people back in the days that was doing the cannings and making their preserves and all this other stuff. One of my friends on Facebook, she has a garden. She makes her own tomatoes, like you was talking about. She also grows her greens. I forget what type of green ones. It's not collard greens. It's not cabbage. It's some other type of green that she does. And she has carrots, and she has a tomato, and strawberries. And she's been doing that. And there's a lot of people have been creating, like you said, their own little farm in their backyard, and they're getting their fresh veggies and they're getting their fresh fruit. I know there are some fruits that take a minute, that won't grow as fast as a tomato will, but that is food for thought for people who have the opportunity to do that. And back to what you and Chanel was talking about too, with real estate. We know that real estate, new houses, is dealing with inflation because of the lack of trees. And then those are driving the prices up now on houses. What a house was early 2020 is almost double that price today, especially in the new communities. And back to what you were saying about corporate America taking over, that's happening in the middle class neighborhoods now. Corporate America is buying up these houses and then renting them out to people at these enormous prices. So they're almost literally controlling and dictating who can get into upper middle class neighborhoods, the way the real estate market has been going for the past year and some change.
That was, I don't know if people know about the World Economic Forum. This is an organization of world leaders and business leaders and multi-billion dollar individuals who are in this committee. It's called the World Economic Forum. and they're above governments. And they are talking about how to, the next phase of America and of the world. And they say by the year 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. And it sounds really far-fetched, but at the same time, if you think about it, that's kind of the direction we're headed. Because when you brought up the fact that they're buying these homes and renting everything out, they're squeezing out the landlords, they're squeezing out the individuals who want to own homes. They're squeezing small businesses because you can't keep your business open, so you're going to be closed. So it's something's going on in the world. We all can feel something isn't right. We may not know what it is, but everyone has a instinct, a spirit, an intuition, whatever you want to call it. Something is not right in the world, and we need to pay attention. And again, we need to come together because there's something going on behind the scenes. And by the time we all figure it out, it might be too late. So it's time for us to put all the differences aside and come together and learn how to work as a community and learn how to be producers of something and not just consume. Because if you're just a consumer, then you rely on someone else. And that someone else may not have your best interests at heart. That can really hurt you in the end. So we got to come together, people. We got to come together.
I agree with that. And I'm going to start, since Chanel's, I'm going to let Chanel start with last words.
Sure. I think the only thing that I'm going to leave you all with is be creative, be wise, and think for the future. As we see, it, like you said, Jeff, history repeats itself. We've been here, done that, not literally, but literally. And think homegrown. When you were talking about planting seeds and cultivating, I think about homegrown. So when you're starting these businesses, think about what you can utilize or who you can collaborate with that's right here in your community. And I say community, but that could be your town, your city, your county, your state, your region, or across the region or the nation. But think locally, think homegrown, and collaborate as much as possible to help serve your customers and help your businesses grow and thrive.
Yeah.
This has been class for me tonight. It just creates deeper passion to be entrepreneurial and with great understanding and going into it and dealing with it and handling it and listening and taking it in. And just a Chanel just used the word homegrown. It made me absolutely think of the thought, if you don't take care of home first, I mean, it seems so simple tonight for some reason, but if you don't take care of home first, eventually, Jeff, that quote you just gave, that was almost mind blowing. In 2030, you'll own nothing and be happy. It'll be quote unquote daddy China's, like Jeff said. It'll be someone else's land. You'll be renting forever and a day and leasing and not owning. And man, this is a very motivating show. And I'm so glad I was a part of it. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. Thanks.
Jeff.
Only thing I can honestly say is starting now, if you haven't started already, start stocking up on stuff. You don't even have to buy a whole lot. Every time you go to the store, buy another extra case of water, buy some toilet paper, buy some canned goods, get some hydrogen peroxide, get some spices for your health. Start getting little things at a time, because one day it'll get so expensive, it's gonna be a real squeeze and a real problem for you. And we got, like I say, we just gotta work together, put our differences aside so we can, share our resources and learn how to generate multiple streams of income. This is more important than ever because we're all getting squeezed, we're getting pinched. Rent is going up, and unfortunately, some people are going to be on the street. Gas is going to go up even more, and it's going to be hard to get to work, and that's going to be a domino effect. So more than ever, try to get some type of multiple streams of income. It's very important right now.
And I will co-sign on that sentiment as well. And tonight I wanted to say, because I was going to say, well, we always have awareness and try to put the awareness month out there. And September actually happens to be Self-Improvement Month. And our conversation tonight took that to a whole different level. And so to me, the last words would be, remember to invest in yourself. And that hits in everything that you do, your job, your home, your wellness, your health, everything, your income. Invest in yourself. You don't need someone else to believe in you to invest in yourself. So that, I think that's very important, but not to be afraid to get out there and try some of these different things. Like Jeff said, multiple streams of income. Invest in yourself. Your wellness matters. And with that, we'll say good night. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing and hearing from you again next week.